Okay, so the 31 members, everyone is putting money together, and then you guys are going to then purchase different properties?
Correct.
Have we already purchased property, or we're just getting things together to start this venture?
We're getting things together to start the venture.
Is everyone in the same state or different states?
Different states.
Different.
Okay. Everyone's putting in an equal amount of money, or it varies?
It may vary.
Okay. So, anyone have any pending lawsuits? No? Anyone going through a divorce?
No.
No.
Not that I know
Okay.
of. No.
Okay. So when it comes to anonymity, are you guys just asking a question, or do you guys feel like there's something that you're trying to not disclose to someone?
That question was in regards to, I know you talk about it a little bit as far as which state, would it be better to use one of the known anonymity states to structure our business where, it can be private about, who the owners of the business is? I know like your Wyoming, Delaware, they're pretty private about who the owners are to make it a little harder and to protect the identity of the owners and to make it harder to, find out who owns businesses in those states. That's where that question stemmed from.
Right. So the question is, why do you not want someone to know that you own it? Like, is there a reason, or you're just like, I don't want anyone in my business?
Yeah. What you said, the second thing.
The second thing, okay.
To know. You need to know. Yeah.
Okay. So, whatever you feel is best for you.
From a litigation standpoint.
From a litigation standpoint, a person who wants to find you is going to find you. Okay. So if you're worth finding, if you're worth finding, even with an anonymous LLC, they can find you. Okay. It's just going to take them a little bit longer, and it's going to cost them some money to find you. The reason, okay, some people are just like, I don't want people knowing that I own this. Okay, so then you can file in one of those 4 states. That's why I asked, does anyone have any kind of pending litigation? So if you are knowing that I have a contract dispute, me and my landlord are not getting along, this may end up in a lawsuit, then you may not want a potential creditor knowing that you are doing X, Y, and Z. If you do form an LLC in an anonymous state, we're going to have to register that LLC in the state that you're doing business in as a foreign LLC. So it's going to be another step that you're going to have to do. And then we're going to have to keep the original LLC active as far as filing the annual report, paying the fee, and we're going to have to keep the foreign LLC active. So the question becomes, is it more important for someone not to know that you're on the LLC and it's worth doing this double step? If your answer is yes, then you then form the anonymous LLC. As far as a lawsuit coming, which one has better protection? Forming the LLC in a certain state's not giving you any kind of different asset protection from a different state. The simplest thing to do would be to form an LLC in the state that wherever you're going to be operating in, whatever state that is. There a certain state you're going to be operating in? You guys are going to be over multiple states?
Multiple states.
Multiple.
Okay. So anyone in a state that doesn't have a state sales tax, a state tax?
I am Delaware.
Okay. Well, if you already have someone in Delaware, then you could. Delaware is also an anonymous state, anonymous LLC state. There's no state tax. You already have a member there who has an address who can be your registered agent. So I would just go with that.
Okay. That makes sense. Since we're gonna be operating in multiple states, I think the foreign entities are gonna definitely be necessary because if we're gonna acquire properties in different states, we're gonna need foreign entities in those states anyway, correct?
Yes and no. So every business has to have a headquarters, right? So you already have a member who's in Delaware. So you have a corporate presence with the gentleman who's in Delaware. So you have to have a corporate presence somewhere. So you can't just have a virtual address and then call that a corporate presence. So since you have a member who's in Delaware, then you can have your headquarters be in Delaware. Once you have your headquarters, then you can do business in other states. Like Walmart doesn't have an LLC in every single state. Their LLCs, I'm assuming, may be in either Arkansas, where they are, or in Wyoming, Delaware. They're going to have one corporate headquarters. Now, if you're wanting to do banking in another state, so maybe you find some property in Texas and there may be a credit union or a bank who is, going to approve you guys with some more money, you want to do banking there, then yes, you'll need to register the Delaware LLC as a foreign Texas LLC to do the banking in Texas. So depending on what you're going to the state, every state that you do business in, you don't have to register. But if you want to do banking and do things like that, then you will need to form a foreign LLC. You may want to form, since it's a whole bunch of y'all, you guys may want to form a foreign LLC in the different states that have credit unions that are I don't know if someone since you have it's so many of y'all, where are the best banks? Okay, so a lot of your local banks, a lot of your credit unions, they're going to be more prone to give someone money. I'm assuming that we are using one person to do the financing who qualifies and everyone puts in on the down payment, and then we get someone else credit worthy to get the next one. This is the play that we're doing?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So whoever is first up in
fine.
line as far as being credit worthy to get the financing, which bank is going to be more prone to give this person more money? So if there's 31 of y'all and maybe we're in 10 different states, instead of just, going through one bank, we now have 10 different states with multiple bank options as far as getting the most funding at the lowest interest rate.
Okay.
Can I touch on something real quick, just to go back to you're saying that I live in Delaware, so in regards to headquarters, does that have to be a business address? Because I heard you mention it can't be a virtual address, or could we use a home address?
You can use a virtual address, but you are physically in Delaware. So the corporate presence would be where, if you're working out of your house, I'm sure you have a room that has a laptop and you're doing business, right? So your corporate headquarters could be at your home. Although we have a business address where we have conferences, that'd be your virtual address. But there is an LLC member who is present in Delaware. That gives you a corporate presence.
Got you.
Okay. Any more questions on the anonymous LLC?
No,
We're good.
we're good.
Okay. What are the benefits of forming an LLC for a group of real estate investors? Forming an LLC what you guys may want to do, since it's, I'll answer first thing first. You have to form an LLC regardless of what you do, because you want to separate yourself from the business. So everyone has either a house, a car, money in the bank. We don't want to expose our personal assets to potential creditors. So you want to form an LLC regardless of what industry you are in, to separate you from the business, separate your assets from the business assets. So if something were to go wrong, someone slips and falls and breaks their neck on your property, your personal home, bank account, cars aren't exposed. As far as real estate investors, a couple of things you guys could do. It's a lot of you guys. I don't know how much money that we're having to come up with, but because it is so many of you guys may want to think about maybe forming 2 LLCs. So, so when people do the whole real estate group, it's going to depend on how fast I can get someone credit worthy to get the financing, and then how fast the other people can come up with whatever is the down payment, right? If we have 2 different LLCs, well, then we can be running the play at the same time on 2 different properties, if that makes sense. So we have LLC number 1 getting this financing, and then we have LLC number 2 getting the same financing at the same time. So now we're able to buy 2 homes versus, well, your LLC was just in here 10 days ago. Now you want to get another loan. You may want to think about forming, but that all depends on how much of a down payment. Are we doing like small residential homes? Are we doing duplexes? Are you trying to do some commercial property? Do we need everyone's down? Can we afford to do 2 people at the same time with 2 down payments? Or is it like, well, no, we only have enough for a 1 down payment. We want to do it 1 play at a time and kind of get our feet wet. Those will be another option that you guys could think of doing.
Okay.
How should we go about choosing a suitable
Great
name?
idea.
Your name does not need to have anything that's real estate, that has real estate, investment, properties, nothing like that in the name. But this needs to be more of a generic name, because real estate is a high risk industry, meaning it's a high probability that you're going to go bankrupt. And for that reason, banks don't like to lend to high risk industry. So just keep it like a generic name. Any questions on the name? No, we're good? Okay. What legal steps and documentation are required to form an LLC for our multi-member real estate investment group? Nothing is needed to form the LLC. You're going to form the LLC by going on the Secretary of State website. They're going to have the forms. Now, the issue you guys may run into is, well, no, if you do Delaware doesn't list the members. So all the members will just be listed on the operating agreement. Anyone in this group married?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So whoever is doing your operating agreement, you want to make, so operating agreement is going to be like the partnership agreement. It's a whole bunch of y'all, right? So if one of you guys were to pass away, do you want that person's spouse to be in the business? Okay. So some people have a spouse who are business savvy and they're like working the business with them. And then other spouses are, just being a spouse. They're not in the business. So they may not have the bandwidth. I know. Maybe y'all personalities don't mix. We may not want to be a business partner with someone's spouse, right? So there's different things that you could put in the operating agreement that would state, if I were to die, my spouse won't have any say as far as running the business because they don't know anything about the business, but I want my percentage of the profits to go to the spouse. So the spouse won't be in y'all's meetings. You know, if let's just say I'm married and I'm in the group and my husband don't know nothing about real estate and he doesn't know anything about anything, but he's coming to the meetings, you know, giving up dumb ideas, asking all these dumb questions. Y'all like, oh girl, keep him at home, right? So what we're going to do is, you know, husband, you just stay at home, but on the first, whenever we sell this property, we're going to just, you know, mail you your check. So you want to make sure that one, we understand if something were to happen to one of y'all, is your spouse going to come in and take over the same managerial role as you have? Or are they just going to be more of a silent partner and they just get your percentage? How do we leave? Okay, so I thought I wanted to do this. You know, y'all wanted, I wanted to only buy white houses. Y'all over here buying orange houses. I want out, right? How do I leave? What is the process? Are you guys going to buy me out? Are you guys going to buy me out in a lump sum? Is it going to be a monthly payment? How do I leave without just tearing down this baby? Okay. So when you are working with multiple people, a partnership is like a marriage. Okay. So either I pick the right one or I pick the wrong one, right? And if anyone has picked the wrong spouse, baby, it's going to be hell on ice. So you want to make sure that if I get in it and I'm not happy, I want to get out, that we have, you know, it's the termination or how do I get out of this agreement, that all of that is really detailed, and y'all can come up with what you want that to be, because this is like y'all's business marriage. Can you explain the different roles and responsibility each member of the LLC should have? That will be dependent on whatever it is that the person's good at, right? So some people are members strictly for financial reasons. So I have the money, I'm putting the money up, but I'm not going to be at this business. I'm not answering the phone. I'm just giving the money. Some people may have property to lend out, right? Some people are like, hey, I want to do the day-to-day operations. Whatever is, I would say, the person's strength, have them work in that capacity, but everyone needs to be on the same page. So if we are a real estate investment group and we're saying everyone's putting in the same amount of money, well, what if I don't have the money by the time it comes to closing? Well, then what happens? Do I just miss out on this opportunity? Can I bring my money 90 days later and still get in? Those are going to be kind of the questions you would have to come up with yourself. Are we all looking for a certain property? Is there a team? Is there a group of y'all that's going to be looking for the property, and another group is going to be helping the person, whoever's credit we're about to use first, get that together? This is y'all's marriage, right? Everyone's marriage is different. How do you want this to work? Are we taking obligations in groups? Is someone spearheading it and coming back? It's kind of like whatever it is that you guys want to do, that's what the role would be. But you want to have all this established in the beginning. So I don't feel like, well, honey, I'm the one calling the realtor. I'm the one going to look at this property. I'm the one doing all the work. And y'all over here ain't no one doing nothing, but y'all want to split the money the same way. So you guys got to kind of come up with what it is that you want everyone to do. It's a whole bunch of y'all. So it really, I mean, a lot of y'all, I don't see how one person will just be encumbered with a whole bunch of responsibility since it's 31 of y'all. What provisions should we include in the LLC operating agreement to address our specific real estate investment goals and needs? Okay, what kind of real estate investment goals and needs are we talking about? Like, for example?
Right now, we've decided to begin our efforts in wholesaling collectively.
Okay.
And ideally,
So
oh, go ahead.
go ahead. Oh, you go ahead.
Ideally, we would want to know how to structure that agreement between the members whenever we perform, or purchase a property for each transaction. Because I'm assuming it would be by transaction or per transaction, correct? At least that's how we would want to structure the agreement, is per transaction.
But if you are, everyone's going to be on the LLC. So you're saying everyone's not going to put in on every property.
Correct.
Okay. So you need to have what is the guideline, right? So how much does someone need to put in? Are we planning on everyone to go around the mulberry bush as far as, getting credit? Like, so what if I'm in your group and maybe I have, I don't know, a 650 credit score and I need to get my credit score up to a 750, but I'm not doing anything. I'm not, I haven't paid anyone to fix my credit. I'm not paying down any debt to reduce my, debt to income, utilization. I'm not really doing anything to make myself credit worthy. So when it comes around to my time, I'm ready to get the loan. So are y'all gonna kick me out? I have a year to get myself together. What are the guidelines? Maybe I'm in the group, but I just never have my money together, right? And all what I'm saying, you will see down the line, this is going to happen, right? Maybe life just hit me and I just, I'm just at square one, or I may be bad with money, right? The Beyonce movie's coming out and I went and got a whole new outfit and the whole nine and made it a whole weekend thing. And now I don't have my money to, invest. So how many times do I have to pass on a wholesaling opportunity until you're like, I don't think we're a fit? If it's 31 of y'all, I'm assuming y'all are coming together so that everyone can kind of put down the minimum amount possible, but we're now able to buy multiple properties and we're all kind of collaborating together. So if for the next 3 deals, I don't have my 5,000, this may hinder you guys from either seizing on an opportunity, or the other members, they may have budgeted, I gotta put 5, but now my 5's now turn into 6. Like if I keep doing 6s and I budgeted for 5, well, that's gonna cut into something else. So at what point, if I don't have my stuff together, are y'all gonna say, hey, thank you, but no thank you, and you need to leave the group? That's what you guys are going to have to come up with on your own as to what you want those parameters to be. And then everyone needs to be in agreement with that, however you want to structure that.
But would that be something that you would draft on behalf of our LLC with each member? Like how would we go about drafting that? Because ideally, like you said, we'd have to figure that out. So I'm assuming that would be outlined in the operating agreement or some sort of bylaws, correct? But would you be drafting that for us?
That would be in the operating agreement. What are you wanting?
Yeah, so we want to see if you can if we can hire you to help us draft these agreements and these operating agreements and contracts.
What I meant when I said
she's saying that like once we come up with our guidelines, then she will actually like draft out the document, but we need to come up with our own guidelines first.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah, and that's the purpose for the operating agreement, and then come
So
up with that.
You could have in your operating agreement, each real estate transaction will be on a case by case basis with here are the guidelines, right? So, but you guys need to sit amongst yourselves to discuss. You guys need to discuss the worst case scenario. See, when people jump into business together in the beginning, well, first of all, there's no money in the bank, right? So everyone is like, yeah, we're gonna do this, blah, blah, blah. All right, yeah. Okay, well, once money starts getting involved, things change. And once people start feeling like, well, I'm having to, either use my credit and no one else using their credit, or I'm having to always come up with more money. This is not like things are going to go, things are going to change quickly. It's 31 of y'all. There's no way y'all going to all get along. It's too many people, right? So the whole point of having an agreement in the beginning is so if you don't follow these guidelines, here are the rules. This is what's going to happen. So when we tell you, hey, you didn't do A, B, and C, it was great. Here you go. There's going to be no hard feelings because all of this was discussed beforehand.
Yeah, that's exactly my point. Is I was asking, would you help us draft that particular agreement? Like, do you have a template of some sort that you would utilize for, clients in our position? Because like you just already touched on several points. I guess my point is that you've already called to our attention several areas of concern that we wouldn't even have thought of. And so us trying to come up and sit down and brainstorm would be more difficult than the knowledge you already possess. I'm just asking, are you in a position to help draft that for us, to give us a starting place? Where we can
I can help you. I would say this. First, give me come up with whatever y'all think you want your guidelines to be. And then once I see that, I can then tell you, well, baby, I consult real estate groups all day, every day. Let me tell you about the top 10 issues that's about to happen. Okay. I'm already now credit. Someone's not gonna have their credit together. Okay. You're gonna be like, girl, like I already got this loan. Everyone got these loans and we waiting on you, but you steady getting the profits from my loan from using my credit. But everything has to be, 50-50 when it comes, well, y'all are 31, but everything needs to be equal. Nobody wants to feel like they're being used, abused, and another person is getting away scot-free. So that's going to be the number one issue.
Okay.
But yes, you can come up with whatever you guys think you're going to have, and I can kind of tell you, well, here are some other issues you may want to think about.
Okay.
How can we structure the ownership and voting rights within the LLC to ensure fairness and accountability among the investors? Well, normally ownership is based off of what the person is contributing. So that's why I asked, is everyone contributing the same amount of money? Whoever is first up in line for using their credit, like people can give their money, people can give their credit, people can give hey, I have a property that we can use for office space. Like people can give whatever it is that they want to give. It's up to you to determine what is the value. So maybe I don't have any money to put down, but my credit's at 810 and I can get this loan at the smallest interest rate, which at the end of the day is going to save the group money. Well, you may say, well, because you have the highest credit score, you don't have to put in money on the down payment, or you can put down less money. What is the value of whatever the person's bringing to the table? Maybe I don't have the best credit, but I'm the person who's going to be at these tax lien auctions. I'm in 3 other real estate groups who, are going from state to state, seeing, where are smaller properties. Maybe maybe I am the worker bee. I'm the one who is finding all the opportunities. Hey, in this state, they got X, Y, and Z going on. And now I'm in this group and they're saying over here, and I'm bringing all the deals to the group. Well, I may not have any good credit, and maybe y'all gonna never get to me, but I'm bringing y'all where all the deals are. I may have the money, but I have a job. I ain't got time for all this. You just tell me when y'all need the money here. So it all depends on who's bringing what and what is that value to you. And then y'all agree as far as, well, she don't have any credit, but she gonna do all the work and find the property. Cool, I'm not tripping, right? So it's, once again, all of this depends on what is the value to you. If everyone in the group got an 810, well, me having an 810 and no money isn't bringing any value. If I'm the only person that has an 810, well, now my 810 has value. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, it does.
So, you guys may want to have like a round table discussion to see if it's 31 of y'all. Are we breaking this down by member? Is it broken down to whoever puts in on the property plus the person whose credit they're using, that two splitting the profits from that business? Like, how are we structuring this?
Okay.
Are there any tax advantages or implications associated with forming an LLC for our real estate investment? So, as a multi-member LLC, you're going to be filing a partnership tax return, and then you're going to be getting a K-1 for whatever are the percentage of your profits. And then you'll file that K-1, which will be similar to like a 1099 on your personal tax return. So if you guys profit was $31,000 and you guys each got $1,000, then your K-1 would be $1,000. You'll add that $1,000 of income on top of whatever you have going on tax-wise. So the implication will be, if I'm already at like at the top of a tax bracket and getting more money is going to bump me up to the next tax bracket, well, then this additional income is going to bring you up, and now we go from being taxed at 26% to 28%, right? Or if maybe I normally get a refund because my income is X amount, but now, you know, we had a lot of money, so I kind of increased what my income is. Well, now I'm not getting a refund. So it all depends on what you already have going on tax-wise, and then what the income is going to bring. On the flip side, if the entity has a loss, then the losses will be shared the same way that the profits are shared. So if we took a $31,000 loss, then everyone would get a K-1 for $1,000 loss to then put on their tax return to then reduce their tax liability. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yes, it does.
What legal procedure should we follow if we decide to add or remove members from an LLC?
Sorry. Before you proceed with that one, do you have any recommendations for CPAs that can help us better understand how to approach that scenario? Because just what you just mentioned is on an individual level, we have to be concerned about taxation purposes. So as we get bumped up, as we begin to generate more income, that's going to be a big thing. So do you have a CPA or any recommendations who we can consult with that can help us better understand how to proceed with that in that scenario?
Do you guys have a CPA right now that you're using for your taxes, or no?
No. So we like my wife and I, we use H&R Block, and we hire the tax pro to help us with our tax return. So that's not going to cut it.
On Instagram, I refer, her name is The Tax CEO. THETAX CEO.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So you would need to in the year that you guys are, I guess, selling the property, because that's when you would receive the profits. You could probably, I would just say do a consultation now with whatever is your current tax situation, if it's going to stay the same. So if I'm working a job, or I have a business, I'm making the same amount of money, like nothing's different, you can kind of tell her, hey, this is what I have going on. And then she can say, okay, well, if you have a $20,000 gap that won't affect you personally, but if you get profits more than $20,000, we're now going to be in a different tax bracket, right? Or there are different ways. There are different ways to defer taxes, right? So, but one way would be if I take the profits and then put it into another property. Exactly. So in the operating agreement, are we always making distributions on the profits, or are we ever going to take the profit of property one and use that to go into property two? The issue would be if all 31 members aren't in property number one, are we going to allow new members in the property number two?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So who I refer is the tax CEO.
Okay.
Are there any ongoing compliance requirements or regulations we need to be aware of as an LLC? The compliance regulations are going to be based on the state. Most states do require some kind of annual report where you're just saying, hey, state, I'm still using my LLC, so please reserve my name. Some states require an annual report and to pay a fee. If you form the LLC this year, the new federal compliance, I think you have till the end of 2024 or the beginning of 2025 to file that what's this report? Now basically, with the anonymous LLCs, the government doesn't know who owns them, right? So the government is now making everyone list that they own it. So you can be anonymous for people off the street, but the government's going to know that you own this entity. If you form your LLC next year, that form is due like within 30 days of forming the LLC. But besides the federal form and the annual requirement of either an LLC report or report and a fee, that is normally the only compliance requirement for an LLC. Now, of course, there's going to be the corporate formalities. So we don't need to be commingling business funds and personal funds. There needs to be a separate business bank account. Any kind of insurance or permits that are required for your industry, you need to have those. And then your business doesn't need to be undercapitalized, meaning you can't just pull all the money out of the business. You got to leave some money in there to run the business. So, but besides following the corporate formalities and your annual report, I would say those would be all of the compliance requirements.
One quick question on that. Do you guys mind if I ask?
Yeah, go ahead.
How would we go about doing that? Is this as simple as because you mentioned not commingling funds, right? So regarding commingling funds or avoiding commingling funds, how would we structure that to pull money from a personal account and place it into the business? Is that some sort of like contractually speaking, like how do we satisfy the law to make sure we're conforming to the legal requirements? Is that just like on paper, we put it in paper somewhere like, hey, I'm loaning this money to the business? How do we structure that?
If you're going to put the money in and you don't need the money out, you're going to put the money on a capital contribution agreement. If you're going to put the money in, but you're going to say, hey, when the business makes money, I want my money out, then you'll put that amount on an LLC loan agreement. Both of the agreements you're going to give to your CPA at the end of the year, so they can dictate, okay, If you guys put $50,000 into the business bank account to get started, and at the end of the year, it had $100,000 of income hit the bank, the CPA knows to take 50 of that 100 out because that was either a loan or a capital contribution. So taxes will only be assessed on the other 50.
Okay.
I have an LLC kit on my website that has both of those agreements.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
But commingling in the sense of I'm taking the check card and I'm getting my lashes done with it. Okay, so I'm mixing personal and business expenses together.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Ladies, y'all
How
heard.
can an attorney assist us in structuring our LLC to provide the maximum protection and benefits for our real estate investments? The proper structure is just going to be your LLC, a good address for the registered agent, that's a business address, EIN and business bank account, and an operating agreement. So, you know, going through all these scenarios in so that everyone's on the same page as they're starting. Do we need a holding company to hold all the assets of the property playmakers? We're financing the property or we're buying it outright?
The goal is to buy it outright.
Well, it'll be both, right?
In the beginning, though,
Do
possibly.
we want, okay. It'll be both, right?
Okay. If we are financing the property, then we won't lose the property in the lawsuit because we don't own the property. The bank still owns the property. Okay, so we don't have to move that asset because if someone were to try to take it, the bank gonna jump in and be like, hey, you know, hey, we still own this. If you do buy something outright, then that's when you would want a holding company. So you would put the asset, so you would put the deed in the LLC's name that is serving as a holding company, and then the operating LLC or whatever is the LLC that's doing the signing the lease. If we're buying property, then we're going to be leasing the property out. That's what we're doing. Or are we just buying and selling?
Buying it.
Buying and selling, right? Yes, buying and selling.
If we're just buying and selling, if we're buying and selling, technically we wouldn't. Let me see. It depends on how safe and secure you want to be. Okay, so are we buying the basic insurance policy? Or you're the kind of person that wants the maximum insurance policy. So if you're buying property outright, but you're only buying it to sell, the question will be, how long are we holding the property?
Right.
If you think I'm only going to hold the property for a week or 2 weeks, well, you may be able, and you may feel comfortable enough just leaving the property in the LLC, although you're also doing business in that LLC. If you're like, you know, no, I want to make sure that if anything were to happen, I'm just protected, then when you buy the property, you could put the property in the holding company. And then when it's time to sell the property, I would transfer it from the holding company to your operating LLC and then sell it from there. That way, if let's just say it took you 6 months to get a buyer, if it's sitting in the holding LLC and we have some kind of litigation on the operating LLC, a tenant, a contract, whatever the case may be, that asset is not in that same LLC that's doing business. So those would be your two options. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it doesn't cost us much more for the holding, right? Because I'm assuming we don't have to focus on taxation for the holding company, right?
See, taxes are based off of your profit.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you
That's
have a
gonna pass
holding
through.
company, if you have a holding company and it's just holding it, it's not leasing anything out, then the holding company won't have any earned income.
Yeah, so we should be good with that. So the cost of having the holding company and being just absolutely secure to prevent anything from happening during the period which we're waiting to sell that property, that I don't see any issue with that. So yeah, I'd like to vote for the holding company.
Okay.
Another question on that, with the holding company though, even if we're, buying with the intent to sell, would a leasing agreement be needed between the operating LLC and the holding company LLC? Because I know it's supposed to be one for like a buy and hold situation, for like renting out and so forth. How does that work for like, property buys and I guess pretty much property buys and flips? That's what we,
If you're selling the property, we don't need a lease agreement because we're not using the property. So you would just transfer the deed from the holding company to the operating LLC and then just sell the property. You would only use a lease agreement if you're going to use the property. So if I'm going to Airbnb the property, if I'm going to have a tenant in there, monthly collecting rent, well, now I don't want my holding company doing business. So I would lease the property to the operating LLC to then be able to use it to lease out to a tenant or to Airbnb it. If you're going to sell it, which is one transaction, taking it from the holding to the entity that's going to sell it, and then the person just sells the property.
Okay.
Does that make sense or no?
Yeah, one more question though. Taxation purposes, in a leasing situation, because you're gonna have a lease agreement between the holding company and the operating company, you would be profiting some in the holding company in that situation, right?
You're going to profit in the holding company, but you have an expense in the you have profit in the holding company, but you're going to have an expense in the operating company.
Okay, so that kind of offsets it then.
It's going to be like this. If you are leasing the property out and you get $1,000 a month for the rent, well, whether entity one brings home 1,000 or entity one brings home 500 and entity two brings home 500, it's still the same 1,000. Does that make sense? Or no?
Yeah, it makes sense.
So if I have property and I'm leasing it to my operating LLC, the operating LLC is going to write me a check every single month to my holding company to lease the property. So the holding company has a $300 profit if the rent's $300, but the operating LLC has a $300 expense. Both entities are flowing to your personal tax return. So you're receiving the $300 income offset by the expense, depending on how many expenses you have. You're still bringing home the same money. We're just splitting up how we're bringing that money home. So having a holding company isn't going to cost you anything because you're expensing it on the other side.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So I have a $300 gain in my holding company, but my operating company has a $300 expense. And both of them are flowing to me personally.
Okay.
Hey, I'm not sure if you answered this question. If we already formed the LLC, and what if members want to add to the LLC, or if they don't want to be a part of it anymore? How do we go about that?
You're going to amend your LLC, and you will either add the member or remove the member. So, if you're in Delaware, see some states, they don't have the members listed on the LLC. So like a Delaware LLC doesn't have the members listed. I think Georgia doesn't have the members listed, right? So you would amend or update your operating agreement also. So I'm going to add the member or take off the member in your operating agreement. If your state has the members on there, you'll have to amend the LLC. And then update the operating agreement. Any other questions?
I guess
No.
I'm a little confused about the states not listing the members. So what exactly makes me a member then? Like for the LLC, if we form in a state that doesn't have the members listed.
Your operating agreement.
Oh, okay. So it's
Look,
just
you
so
have
that
a-
there's still an
if you
operating
have a-
agreement.
Yeah.
If you have a state that doesn't list the members like Delaware, when you go to the bank, there you like some states you have to have an operating agreement to open up a bank account.
Mhm.
So in Texas, the members are going to be listed on something called a certificate of formation, right? So to open up a bank account, I got to bring my certificate of formation from the state and my certificate of filing because the names of the members are on there. In Delaware, the paper is going to have 3 lines, right? And it doesn't tell you who owns it. So you can't do anything with the LLC unless you also have the operating agreement. Because in the operating agreement, it's going to state who owns the LLC.
Okay. Thank you.
Now, another thing I'm going to have to consider is members are going to have to be present to be on this bank account. So,
Yes.
Present, like at the time of opening the account? Is that what you mean?
it depends on the bank. So some people allow you to, or I'll add the names, and let's just say I'm at Wells Fargo and you're in a Wells Fargo and different, you can just go into a Wells Fargo. The issue will become, well, when it comes to the banking for your LLC transactions, it needs to be a bank that everyone is able to be on. So I probably should do a local Florida bank if I have members from all the different states. Now, the bank that we go to get the financing for whoever's first up in buying the deal, that's just going to be based on that person who's up to get the financing. But collectively, as a whole, all the members are going to have to be on this bank account.
And you said that we need to be present at some point during that time for that bank account.
Meaning we can't fax in a signature card, right? So if everyone's in a state that has a Wells Fargo, well, whoever is going in to open the account, they're going to give the operating agreement. The account won't be open until all 31 members are signing that bank signature card. So that means I'm going to a Wells Fargo in my state to sign. That's fine, but everyone's going to have to be on that bank account.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I'm saying. You guys may want to also think about, I don't know how y'all are going to do whatever is the investing, but having multiple LLCs.
Now, question with the LLCs. So the people who are on this call, we're more like the managers of everyone. So it's like, will it be best if we all get an LLC and then the members will get their separate LLCs? Or will it be like exactly like all 31 members getting an LLC and then we all split the profits evenly? Like, how do you understand what I'm saying?
My question is, does everyone have to be on the LLC?
What would you suggest?
That's a good
Right.
question.
Yeah, that's a good question. How I mean, how will we determine that fact? Like, we got 31 members. We're trying to purchase property together collectively. So
Is it necessary for everyone to be on the LLC if we are trying to purchase collectively and have like everybody put in like a good amount of effort and like, because what if someone isn't on the LLC, but they're working, like they are working, like, will they still have a right to like profits and things like that?
yeah.
They can have a right to profit if you have like an investment agreement. I don't know how they're gonna feel about giving money if they're not on an LLC.
Right.
Could you consider the question number 14? And J Money, does this question specify or touches on what the point you're trying to make? And that way, if it is, Joy can, answer this question in particular. Because wouldn't we be able to just draft a contract specific for that transaction? Hey, if they're wanting to contribute for that particular transaction, here's what the percentage would be in the event of a profit. And here's, we, disperse the profit accordingly. But would that be possible? Is that what you're asking, Jay Money? I just wanted to make sure. If not, then you'd probably have to restate your
Yeah,
question.
so like I was pretty much saying, like let's say if the leaders were all on the LLC, if let's say we make profits from an investment, we can still disperse the money evenly amongst us and our members, or do we have to have an LLC with everyone included?
You
I
can
don't
do
think so.
what you want to do. The question is going to be, the question is, are the people who are not on the call, are they still contributing the same amount of money as you guys, or you guys are contributing more money than the people not on the call?
It would vary.
Yeah.
It varies for when it comes to the investing, but like right now, all of us, we are fronting the startup costs for the business. The members aren't, if that clears up anything. We are, contributing towards, outside of the members, we're the ones contributing to, structuring and setting up the business. So all the startup costs is coming from everyone you're talking to right now.
And for startup costs, we're just talking about like LLC consultation, or are we talking about purchasing property?
Not purchasing property. We haven't put any money towards that yet.
Right. It's just for like the consultations, that kind of stuff so far.
Yeah, the upfront cost.
Having an LLC with 31 members is like, it's like you're just asking for, we're just asking for trouble. It's too many. It's just too much. It's a lot with who's on this call right here. It's like having 31 wives or 31. It's just too much. Like no one's gonna see eye to eye. If it's 31 equal people, well, it's like 31. It's gonna be a lot. Okay, it's a headache about to happen. Now, there are ways that people can. There could be an LLC, and then you just provide investment opportunities for people based on the properties that you find. So maybe, I feel like I want to invest with y'all on one property. You guys tell me what it is. I have the $5,000. I put it up. I sign a contract saying that, I'm investing with this group on this deal, but I'm not in bed with you. I'm not tied to you. I ain't got to come home to you every single night. I can go invest with someone else, right? I don't have to express my opinion or vote on everything. 31 people to agree is just not gonna happen. That's like 31 members. Like y'all will never start.
Mm.
What would you suggest?
I get you. I know it makes sense because she's helping. This is it's good we're identifying this stuff. Everybody that's like we're the decision makers, managers of the group so much. When we come across opportunities, the one depending on how we go about it, as far as if we're gonna have separate LLCs or just one, because big investment groups and hedge funds do it all the time. We can have those investment agreements outlined to provide to them. If it seems like a good deal, some will do it. I kind of get what she's saying a little more now.
I'm gonna put a link in y'all's. Can I put something in the chat?
You
Yes.
should
Yes,
too.
please. Yes.
I'm gonna
Definitely.
put this a link to what I'm trying to tell y'all.
Okay.
So it's gonna be
Makes sense already.
it's gonna be a video on how to set up an LLC with investment partners. So I would have whoever are the core people who I know I can get along with. We can form an LLC, and then we would just have a contract with people who want to invest. So whether it's us investing and then we add other people in, I mean, you're saying 31 people, right? Well, what if this really works? And what if you could have 100 people? Like, what if we had different people in different states who just wanted an investment opportunity? I don't want to go to no meetings. I don't want to get to know you. I don't even want to deal with y'all, right? But if you're in my town and you're talking about getting a duplex, and I could, put 30 grand in, and over the long haul, give me blah, 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 blah. Well, then I would just sign an investment agreement, and I'm just in bed with you on this one house, right? I'm not dealing with you on everything else. Now, the people who are joining as an investor, they can either join personally or they can have an entity join with y'all. But having a 31 member, I don't even think you can have a 31 member LLC. Like, there's a limit to how many members you can even have on an LLC. It goes by state as to how many you can have, but 30, that's what I kept saying, 31 of y'all about to be on this one. Like, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And you don't want someone who's just chiming in here and there to be able to have all this control when it comes to running it and making decisions. The leadership has to be, everyone has to be on the same page when it comes to leadership. We gotta have the same focus, we gotta be on the same page, or else if the head is not together, then the whole body is just going to be a domino effect.
Yes.
It
Okay.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Different personalities too, and yeah.
That makes
So
perfect
I
sense.
would someone copy that link. That's what y'all need to look at. Trying to have different investment partners with the different properties, so we're not in bed with them. So if you may have an investor, but there are some like nagging people, like the person who wants to call every week, like, what's the update? Baby, we just closed 2 seconds ago. Like, there is no update, right? Do you want this person tied to you for every decision y'all make? So I understand that y'all are overzealous and we're excited and we're going to do all of this, but y'all are going to meet some really interesting people. When it comes to business and money, everyone is not the same. And if you get in bed with that wrong person, it's just going to be a mess. So if you're in bed with the wrong person, it's easier just to be in one bed versus every deal we do, I got to drag this person who's going to call every week and send emails, and I'll do all this extra stuff on every single thing I'm tied in. You may not want to offer every opportunity to everyone. There may be an opportunity that only y'all want, right? and you may not want to open it to everyone else. Okay, so there's different things that you guys need to be able to maneuver. So I think what would be easier is there be a core group, and then we offer based on whatever it is that you're needing, different opportunities for different people. That way you can have some kind of requirement. So we're buying this duplex over here. Here are the requirements. You got to have boom, 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 and boom. Either you're putting your credit up or you're putting some money up, right? That's going for you to be able to come on to this thing. So, but I don't know what you promised the other 300 people, right? So they may be like, well, I want my name on the LLC. I don't know, how that conversation was, but having 31 members, I've never even heard of that before. So
Miss Hunt, I don't know if you know, but like I think we came to this decision because, like, how do hedge funds do it? Like, because I know there are some big hedge funds that have 30 plus members, or they consist of 30 plus people. Do you know?
I don't know. I thought a hedge fund was people putting money in into some kind of investment.
Yeah, do you know that their LLCs actually have the 30 plus members?
Let's Google.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, we can definitely Google
Because I
it.
don't know. I'm asking Brian, like, do you know that? Because I don't.
All right.
I've heard of hedge funds that have like 50 plus members. But it's only been word of mouth. So
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so if you have an S corp election, you can only have 100 members. So y'all are fine. See, a hedge fund is going to be people putting money in and the group is doing investments, correct?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
So they may have meant 30 to 50 plus partners then, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know how they have it set up. I don't know if it's if they already have the hedge fund set up, and then let's Google. I thought people invest in a hedge fund. You know how you can buy stock in Apple, but you won't be at an Apple meeting telling them what color the
Right.
next item is going to be. See,
Right.
that's kind of investment. I'm putting money into Apple, but if you put your $100 in, you can't go up to where's Apple? They're in the base. I can't go up to Apple and be like, hey y'all, the next iPhone needs to be purple, and I have stock in this company, so y'all gotta know. See, there's like different classifications of stock, right? There's stock that you can make decisions, and then there's stock levels where I'm just putting my money in to get money out. A hedge fund is an investment fund. So everyone, you're not an owner, like there may be an owner of the hedge fund, but just because you invest in the hedge fund, they're not just putting you on their corporate documents.
Right.
You're just putting money into a pool, and then they're going to invest that money into stocks, bonds, whatever, and then you get a percentage. You're not on the Secretary of State at the hedge fund. Like that's getting in bed with someone. You can't get in bed with everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this makes perfect sense. This does, it makes perfect sense. Even if there are other groups who do the 30 plus members or so, it does seem to make more sense to have a smaller member pool and then just like an investor contract.
Yeah, we definitely can discuss that.
At least just try it out. Like, since you haven't done, like we haven't done anything yet, right? So if y'all on the call, get the LLC and then let people know, hey, we are offering investment opportunities. At the end of the day, if people have signed a contract and they're going to get their percentage of the money out, it's really no different. Well, it is a difference, but it's just a member has a lot of say. So when you do the operating agreement, you know, either it's going to be by majority, by 2/3 vote, you guys choose what it is. If it's 31 of y'all, and you know, it's everyone doesn't warrant the same level of authority as other people when you're in a group. Everyone's not bringing the same to the table.
Mhm.
Makes
So
sense.
I would say maybe start with just doing investment contract, but then you may meet someone who's like-minded like you and they're in it. Okay, well, I can add you to my bed, right? But I don't want to just jump into the bed with you without knowing, you know, a little bit about you.
I like that
Because
idea.
once you jump in, it's hard to get out, like a marriage. We can go, I can meet you today and we can go to Vegas and get married for $100, right? Now, when
Mm.
I want to leave you, it's going to cost me an arm and a leg and, you know, attorney fees and court costs. And it's hell to get out of a marriage. It's easy to get in. Same with the partner. It's easy to get in. All we're going to do is sign this little LLC agreement and we in. Now to get out and the company has money, now we in litigation and who's getting what. It's just different.
Mm-hmm.
So I would maybe watch that video
Yeah.
and I will watch that video and just see what do you feel like is going to be the best thing for your group. I can't make that call for you. I'm not in the group. I'm just, you know, trying to shed light to some concerns you may have that you may not be thinking about.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
It looks like we only have
That's
While we booked this call.
right.
What was that, Anthony?
it looks like we have just 2 questions left, and they can be rolled into one. 14 and 16, because Joy already answered 15, but 14 and 16.
Ooh,
Basically,
I don't have 16. What's 16?
what is the cost to hire you for legal services that we need? Is it still $400 an hour, or is it a different cost?
I do work like per assignment. So whatever you would need, I would tell you what that fee would be. I do a flat fee. I don't do hourly.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
that's good to know.
Yeah.
What if it's just a draft like contracts or contractual agreements?
Normally I start at $300 for a custom contract.
Or a custom contract? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, custom contract, $300. Okay.
Are your prices listed on your website anywhere, or is this something that we just have to ask about in person?
Yeah, I checked the website. I didn't see
On my
it.
website,
Yeah,
it's just
okay.
mostly my products that I sell.
Okay.
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 And then you said 14 needs to be answered, Anthony.
Yeah, she said, yeah, she answered it. She basically
Okay, she did. Okay, that
for
works.
custom
Okay.
contracts. But do you have templated contracts? I'm assuming you do, but maybe I shouldn't assume.
What kind of contract are you wanting?
Just I feel like just a typical contract between partners in business, just to outline hey, what is the percentage, who are the people involved, what are some of the general concerns that should be addressed, a section to provide that, and even maybe a possible addendum if necessary, but just something generic, like
That would be your operating agreement.
That's what I was thinking.
No, not the operate. That's what the
You
LLC.
mean for the investors that you're gonna have?
Right. Because like you said, if we're not all members of the LLC and it's just a core group of LLC members, and then the LLC is providing or offering an opportunity to the other 20 plus so members, then what would that agreement look like? Do you have a general agreement for something like that?
like for the investor contract.
I
Yeah.
do not have, I don't have a general agreement for that.
Okay.
Okay, another question then, if we were to draft one up, would you be okay with reviewing it to see if it seems it?
I could do that.
Okay, cool.
Well, it looks like we're close to time.
Yes, definitely. Joy, thank you so much.
No problem.
Thank you. Thank
Well,
you
good
so
luck in your
much.
endeavor.
We
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
it.
We're excited
you.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see y'all at the bank, okay?
Yeah, see you
Okay.
there.
Yes.
I know that's a slogan.
Right.
Yeah.
You
Thanks for
really
providing
dropping
me a
gems.
CPA contact too.
Say it again.
Said thank you for providing us the CPA, the tax
I'll type it
CEO.
in the chat too.
Okay, yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
All right,
Anything else?
awesome.
Thank you, Joy. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Have a good one.
You as
Good
well.
night. Thank
Bye.
you.